Coach told me to keep the jab going and put the pressure and mobility on them and everything. That's what I did to take home that victory. And now I'm headed to Salt Lake City, and this is going to be the first time I ever won a Mid-South State Golden Gloves in history. That's the first time I'm going to go to Salt Lake City and represent for Arkansas State Golden Gloves. As the head coordinator is Coach Rodgers and Mama Curl. This is the first year, and I'd like to thank all my Arkansas family and friends who came out to support me and give me the dedication. And I really appreciate it, and I hope they travel to Salt Lake City and wish me the best of luck.
Of boxing in the heavyweight division. Let's get ready to rumble! Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the black trimmed with red and weighing in at 227 pounds. He comes to us tonight from Jay, Oklahoma, and brings a professional record of 45 victories against only 2 defeats with 1 draw, and 39 of his victories are by way of knockout. In his career, he holds victories over Razor Relic, Pinklin Thomas, and Big George Foreman, and he has captured 2 championship belts from the WBO and the IBC. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing a 2-time world heavyweight champion, Tommy the Duke Forrester. The red corner, wearing red official weight, 160 pounds. A perfect professional record consisting of 25 bouts, 25 victories, including 17 knockouts from Little Rock, Arkansas, the reigning, defending, undisputed middleweight champion of the world, Jermaine Bad Intentions
This fight could wind up a draw.
And the way Pernell Whitaker gave away the 12th round to Oscar De La Hoya in what became a close loss.
In November of 1990, I read in the paper that Muhammad Ali was going to come to UAPB in Pine Bluff and be the Grand Marshal of their homecoming parade. And we probably had a couple hundred people there. Mostly the kids were just aghast or agog or whatever they call it. Just so happy to see him, and he enjoyed working with them for probably 20 or 30 minutes. And then the squad cars, even though they're Pulaski County sheriffs, they escorted one in front of his limousine and one behind it.
Just an icon here in Conway, an outstanding job. The state senator pro tem with the Senate a few years ago, Stanley Russ. Let's hear for Stanley.
How do you introduce a Ray Rodgers? I know when the President of the United States is introduced, they simply say, "Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States," and call his name. Well, our recipient of the Lifetime Achievement Award tonight is obviously not the President of the United States yet. However, he deserves no lesser introduction. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's my extreme pleasure to present to you the inimitable Ray Rodgers.
When I was putting all my stuff together, I was going through some old clippings, and I found one here from January the 16th, 1954. It says, 2 Conway pugilists had no trouble in winning bouts in the annual Arkansas Golden Glove tournament. Well, one of them, Ray Butterball Rodgers, scored a quick knockout, winning over Dean Arbaugh of Ozark in 22 seconds of the first round. Only reason I mention this, when he came to, his clothes were out of style. First, I want to give thanks to the Creator of all things in this world, all things possible, and I'm blessed to be here tonight. I'd also like to thank Senator Stanley Russ for representing me tonight. Stan is a very long-time friend and may be the only one, I may be the only one in this room tonight that got to see him box when he attended Arkansas Tech in Russellville. He was a long, lean boxing machine. Also, to the lady that has been with me for the last 25 years, I don't have the words to describe everything you have done for me as a coach. But more importantly, I would not be up here tonight accepting this humbling award without your incredible support, your love and your care. But when I moved to Conway in 1948, about the only heavy industry we had was a 400-pound Avon woman. Almost anyone living in Conway or Faulkner County for a long time knows that Butterball has been in boxing virtually all my life. Most here tonight do not know where that nickname came from. In 1949, Dad bought the Oak Street grocery store at 624 East Oak here, and my dad bought that grocery store, and I thought I had died and gone to heaven. I'd eat about 5 Baby Ruth bars, 4 or 5 Butterfingers, and a quart of ice cream every day. I had to stick my arms out so people would know I was walking and not rolling. When I was in the 7th grade, I went out for junior high school football. We were running laps one day, and I was lagging behind, and Coach Raymond Bright, Dennis Fulmer, and Jimmy Hardin Bailey started chanting, "Here comes old Butterball, here comes old Butterball." It stuck to me like glue, and now 67 years later, I still get mail addressed to Butterball Rodgers. Today, I'm so slim, I have to run around another shower to get wet. It's probably redundant to tell you this, but I am involved in boxing. I have been involved in amateur boxing since 1947. In Oklahoma boxing, where I went through the 5th grade, it was a letter sport. I lettered in boxing in the 5th grade, and I have been hooked on it ever since. You know that you're getting old when half the grade schools in town are named after dead school teachers that were teaching when you were in school. I had an English teacher named Miss Rodgers. Some of you may have had her. And one day she gave me a bad grade, and I went up and I said, "Miss Rodgers, I don't deserve this F." And she said, "Butterball, I know you don't deserve that F, but that's the lowest grade I can give you." One time I lamented to my mother that I felt like my life was a total waste. She told me, "Son, your life is not totally wasted because there's 4 mothers in the neighborhood can cite you as a bad example." In 1955, James Dean started a movie called A Rebel Without a Cause. I was a rebel without a clue. There are so many people and so many folks that have helped me get to where I am in this world. First, my mom and dad. My first coach, John P. Burns, in Tecumseh, Oklahoma. Some of y'all will remember Slow John Cole, who was coach in 1948 when I started school in Conway. He was down at the old armory on Caldwell, and so Bob, Bobby Joe Starr, Bob Starr, a wonderful man, and James Ed Smith. You may wonder, a lot of you know Jim Smith. James Ed and I used to see in the newspaper that they'd have boxing at Russellville or Fort Smith or somewhere. We'd get out on the highway, he and I, and hitchhike so we could get about. So James Ed, and he helped me referee in the Golden Glove for about 25 years, and so he was one of the guys that helped me make it. I have participated in boxing at all levels. I was a boxer, a coach, an official, an administrator, and tournament organization, including bringing the National Golden Gloves Championships to Little Rock 4 times. I also participate in professional boxing as a laceration management specialist. That's also known as a cut man. Having worked around 50 world championship bouts. This will probably come as a shock to most of you, but I am not a fan of professional boxing. I work with these youngsters, and I've never turned a kid pro. I've never advised them to turn pro. If they tell me they want to turn pro, I send them down the road. That's not what I'm about. I have never had a boxer lose on something that I was hired to control, such as cuts, bruises, and swelling. In 1994 in Dusseldorf, Germany, I was working with Iran Barkley. Some of you may be boxing fans, and this was for a World Light Heavyweight Championship. At the end of the bout, it took 62 stitches to sew Iran up, and my motto is no need to bleed. I've got some stuff that'll hold 2 drops of water together. A lot of guys work in the corner nowadays, they don't know a left hook from a fish hook. I was working, as y'all know, I worked for Tommy Morrison 10 years. Everybody had from 89 to 96 when he got sick. And we were working, I worked a television fight with him, and I was back in the dressing room after the fight, and I was sitting there, and a guy runs in that was in the fight after us, and he said, Ray, he said, I think we're going to need a cut man. Can you help us? Well, sure. I said, I'll come out. Well, I got out there, and this guy named Rodney something was being pummeled. I told him, I said, he don't need a cut man. What he needs is a pistol. I don't know whether any of you ever moved into a strange school district or not, but the boys in particular, there's always somebody that wants to try you on. Well, we had a guy named Bob Ward that his dad was a barber down at OK Barbershop for years and years, and he just kept hectoring me, he said, I got a new pair of boxing gloves, why don't you come over to my house? And so he tells the story that after I knocked him off the front porch about 6 times, he thought he had taught me all he could. Bobby Ward was a guy in high school who thought 4 on the floor was a double date. When I was young, there was a tremendous amount of honor in my family. It was, yes, Your Honor, no, Your Honor. Until I was about 17, I thought my first name was the defendant. With 3 boys in the family, we all had to sleep. We lived in a very small house where all boys had to sleep. I never slept alone until I got married. Boxing has taken me to Hong Kong, Dusseldorf and Berlin, Germany, Glasgow, Scotland, 3 times to London, 4 times to Belfast, Northern Ireland. In 1988, I took the U.S. Olympic team to the Canada Cup in Ottawa, Canada for 10 days. In addition to all that, I've worked the corner in virtually every state and every major city in America. I have worked at Madison Square Garden and Roseland in New York City, in Los Angeles at the Staples Arena, and also at the Home Depot Center. Also, I've worked at nearly all the big casinos in Atlantic City, Las Vegas. I was in Tommy Morrison's corner the night in 1953 when Tommy beat George Foreman for the heavyweight championship. You know, as I go around, I meet various people at times, and they tell me various things. And a while back, I was in a barbershop to get a haircut, and there was a retired judge in Little Rock. I'm not going to mention his name, but he said he was telling about one of the last cases they had, and he said that this lady was up in front of him, and I think he felt some compassion, and he said, "Ma'am, how many children do you have?" She said, "I've got 11. And the judge asked her, said, "Do any of them have the same daddy?" She thought a minute. She said, "I think the twins do." Some of you are probably wondering today how I made the transition from being a boxer to being a coach. It was very easy. One day, I told my dad I always wanted to be a boxer in the worst way, and he said, "Don't worry, you are." When I asked him what he meant, he told me that if I was shadow boxing, he'd bet on the shadow. From 1954 until 1960, I had 3 Golden Gloves novice heavyweight champions. 1954, I had Jim Punchy Stewart. 1958, Walter Ayers. 1960, Lee Hogan, who was a policeman around here, former Faulkner County Deputy Sheriff. I know a lot of you know Lee, and you probably didn't know that about him, but he was my novice heavyweight champion in 1960 at the Fort Smith Golden Glove. 1956 and 1958, J.K. Gibbs was my open heavyweight champion. 1959, Frankie Harrell from Mayflower was my light heavyweight champion. You know, a lot of boxers are superstitious, but I never was, because that's bad luck. Nowadays, we hear about athletes using steroids or other performance-enhancing drugs. When I was boxing, the only thing I ever tested positive for was rust. Matter of fact, my left jab was so good that the judges thought the other guy was sucking my thumb. When I was a little boy, I told my mother one time, I said, "I'll be good if you'll give me a necklace." She said, "Won't you be like your daddy, be good for nothing?" In February 1953, I launched my boxing coaching career. Our coach at the time was Bob Starr. Bob was a farmer working on a very large Starr farm down near Palarm Creek. He couldn't take the young boxers to the Special Weights Golden Glove tournament in Fort Smith. I was 16 years old and was driving an old 1939 Chrysler sedan that James Smith left me while he was in the Air Force. As I look back on it now, I'm surprised that their parents let me leave the city limits with them. But when I got there, the tournament directors told me they couldn't, my boys could not enter the tournament because I was too young to coach. I asked them to show me in the rule book where the age requirements are. When they could not show me any such rule, they let me enter the small boys. Now, they were Jerry Don Starkey, Jimmy Dean Anthony, and my little brother David. And they fared pretty well. So that got me off into the coaching waters. A whole lot of people over the past 60 years have given me help, hope, and support that made it possible for me to be up here tonight. I am blessed to be receiving the Arkansas Sportscasters and Sports Writers Lifetime Achievement Award. I have operated a boxing gym for youngsters in the North Little Rock area for around 50 years. There is no charge to these youngsters. My current gym is located at the Junior Deputy Sports Complex on Campbell Road. I've been there 29 years. I have conducted the Golden Glove Tournament in North Little Rock for 42 years, and the Silver Glove Tournament, which is a junior tournament for kids 8 to 15, I've been doing that 37 years. We all must realize that the future of America is in the hands of these young people, and we endeavor to lead and guide them in hard work and citizenship. High-profile athletes say they are not role models. Yes, they are. We are all role models. It is up to us to determine whether we are a good role model or a poor role model. The way we live our lives may be the only Bible that some people ever read. Remember this, the only thing that comes to us without effort is old age. I thank God for giving me the strength and guidance to be able to help and assist youngsters have a better life, a better education, and become productive citizens. It is an honor and a privilege to receive the Arkansas Sports Club Lifetime Achievement Award, and I thank you.
Let's hear it for Ray Rodgers one more time. I like it. Ray, you might need this hardware. Ray, a question for you. Are you going to be the cut man for the next fight for Jermaine Taylor?
He told me a couple of weeks ago. Didn't give me a specific time where he was going to knock, but he won't be in it.
All right. Is he going to fight for the championship one day? Well, that's great. You're going to be in this corner. That'll be super, Ray. You do a great job. Now it's time.